Mojang, try not to upset their player base challenge. Impossible. This is so true. Mojang has been on a mission to upset the largest number of people possible this week because they've confirmed that Superflat is basically dead as a concept with their new villager changes, and they've also confirmed that next week will be the final migration deadline. After that, they will be deleting unmigrated accounts, no matter what the reason is, even if the person is dead or your relative or whatever, they will be deleted, and as of this week, they will no longer be helping you because Minecraft player support will no longer be able to help. What is the deal with this? It's a pretty big thing, but there is a tiny bit of good news that comes out this week relating to Minecraft Live. But before we get into that, I think it's only fair we talk about unrelated antonyms. Very true point that Microsoft is incredibly scummy for how they are managing the migration. They do specifically call out Microsoft here and not Mojang, because Mojang accounts used to exist as the way to access Minecraft Java until the Microsoft purchase, at which point Microsoft made their own accounts the preferred system, and you had to migrate your old Mojang ones to be Microsoft ones. This is something which they have given a decent amount of time for, but to say now that you have a fixed deadline and they won't even help you reach it seems very, very wild. So what logic could they possibly have behind doing something so unreasonable? I think anytime a corporation looks like it's doing something insane, it's actually because there is some reason behind that. Mojang accounts are insecure and frequently were hacked. They didn't have any two-factor authentication, and so rather than adding their own system, they just decided to switch over to Microsoft. The fact that it happened after the Microsoft purchase is of course no coincidence, but it's still something they are doing for your security, ostensibly. But what I think is insane is saying for your security, you need to move over to the new account system or we won't be supporting it whatsoever. Obviously, this had to happen at some point so they could have one set of accounts that people would log into Minecraft with, but at the very least, you could say, yeah, you can log into your Mojang account anytime. It will just force you to migrate upon opening it. The idea of deleting all of these very historic accounts is something that sits a little wrong with a large percentage of the community, and so this week is when that is coming up especially. Please let anyone know that you don't think has logged into Mojang or Minecraft in the last year. It is very, very important. But the other thing that's very important the community is getting quite outraged about are the recent villager changes. A lot of people really dislike these villager changes, and so what exactly is going on? Just in case you don't know, the brief recap is that Mojang is altering each type of villager, so they'll have different trades based on the biome, but also significantly lowering the power level of any villager that trades enchantments with you. This means librarians will trade fewer books and specific to different biomes, and more specifically, it means armorers will now give you diamond armor, but only with very low level enchantments, and also it will cost you diamonds. There are three main groups of people who are upset by this, the first of whom are people like Business Boy 3576, who say, hey, so what happened to my current villagers on my hardcore world? If you have a villager before the update that you've traded with at least once, and even if you haven't, he might still have those trades locked in, after the update, you'll still be able to trade all of the things you currently can at the existing scales. This will make pre 1.21 villagers an incredibly valuable thing if these villager changes come to pass without anything to balance out the nerfs. So do keep in mind that if you're playing an existing world, you don't need to worry. But the second group of people are people who are just concerned like, oh yeah, when I start a new world, I don't want the tech tree to be harder. I think these people do need to consider that every time you start a new world, it will be different after updates, and some of those changes might make your existing way of life harder, but ultimately it's going to make Minecraft feel much more alive when every type of village you go to has a different set of trades that you can actually expect. The type of person who loads up Minecraft game and game and game again, loading up 5 new seeds every month or whatever it is, you are the type of person who benefits from now having that knowledge, which I think is a good thing. But the type of person who I can think is very validated and they're upset are people like Plagued, Crowvin, 3349, a lot of numbers in the names today, so you really can't get diamond armor in Superflat anymore? Great. And then they give in brackets, sarcasm, just to let me know that they do in fact not think it's great. This is one of the biggest flaws in the new trade systems, where you can't just buy diamond armor with low level enchantments with emeralds, you need to bring them diamonds instead. They have the much more illogical system, at least in the eyes of Jensen, who says trading diamond for diamond armor is so stupid, that's like trading someone a piece of iron for an iron block. I see it sort of this way. The armorers, they are master armorers too by the way, if they're trading diamond armor, are so good at their craft that they can craft diamond armor that uses half as many ingredients. So they can give you a chest plate for just 4 diamonds because they know how to stretch those diamonds much further. In fact, they're so good at their craft, it comes slightly enchanted as well. I think the lore implications are actually really cool. They're showing that villagers are actually better at crafting than the players, so I think it's a good fit on the lore, but these Superflat nerfs in general are something I can't take anymore. Seriously, Mojang, stop nerfing Superflat. I do have to admit that Mojang is not specifically catering to Superflat players, and they should never actually do so. They shouldn't make all the changes mindful of what 1% of players are doing. However, by nerfing both the Librarian and the Diamond Villager, they could have had a really nice way to balance those changes, but instead they just went, no, if you're playing super flat before this update, keep your great villagers. If you're playing it after this update, you should just get screwed because it's going to suck for you. That's how things are. And I don't really love that as a solution. I think that Mojang should be much more proactive and creative, and at the very least, I think it's right now a reminder that you need to play some super flat while you can. The way I see it, there's this really sweet spot in between updates where you should be playing super flat. 1.20.30 is going to come out and allow the wandering traders to give you cherry saplings so you can access that new biome, and then there's going to be a bad time after that where super flat just gets so much harder. But again, I think in general, I don't mind when Mojang makes super flat harder. I just don't like when they make it impossible. Give us some way, even if it's incredibly hard or tedious or really challenging to do, to change the biome of either a villager or of your land. If you could change the biome of your land even in tiny increments, the amount of value that would bring to people and super flat would be incredible. And if that can't be done, then just give people super flat options on Bedrock, please. We're begging, Mojang. Speaking of things that we are begging for, I think it's really interesting to say that, obviously the community is upset with Mojang for some pretty valid reasons here, I think it's fair to say, but I also think that there is always this negativity bias that means that people are going to find reasons to be super negative. So in response to learning that Minecraft Live might be happening soon, Green Ishes says, we are already going to have enough mobs in the game. Do we need any more? They are upset that Mojang is adding mobs, which is something some people agree with, but also at the same time, if you look back even just a few months, people were begging Mojang, please find time to add more mobs like the camels, but for other biomes, or someone said here even, they should add more animals to the game to add to the atmosphere, and they got 734 upvotes. Should Mojang add no mobs and make this one guy happy, or add all of the mobs in the game they can to make this guy happy? In reality, almost no matter what they do, they're going to upset some large number of people. By the way, something I thought was fun was this comment saying, why not add all 3 of the mobs? It was on last year's mob vote. It's really silly to get only 1 mob. It never satisfies everyone. Notch would add at times more than 3 mobs in a single update, so why can't the devs do it now? Which is something that is true. Will 1.21 have more than 3 mobs? This is something we're going to be discovering soon. If you aren't already aware, just an incredibly exciting piece of news, Minecraft Live is obviously the big show where they announce the next big update and also let the community vote on some mobs that are going to be a part of it. This is something which they do every single year, and the last 3 announcements have all been in early September. This is 2022's announcement date, this is 2021's, and this is 2020. And so if you can spot the pattern, I think that means we're going to learn about Minecraft Live next week, and the exact date it'll be. This is the big date of the year for the Minecraft calendar, so, get your calendar ready, or get your calendar app on your phone ready, or, I don't know, like set an alarm, but it only goes off on one day of the year. Whatever it is, get that ready for next week, and I'll be looking through the trailer in case they have any sneaky pre-announcements. I do not think we'll learn about the mob vote that we'll be voting on until like a week before, but if anything happens that changes that, I'll be letting you know. Speaking of letting you know, I wanted to let you know about this comment from Johnny Ops, because they say hopefully all this villager changing is going to spark an enchantment table update, either using the biomes or number of bookshelves to decide what you can get. This is a really good idea, and I hope it's true. Mojang really is specifically targeting their nerfs at enchantments. Again, you can still trade for diamond armor, you can still trade for enchanted books, you just can't get the same level of both those things, so maybe this means that they are really going to try and balance enchantments, maybe because they're adding more, or they're adding more things you can do with them, or they're adding more specific ways that you can get them. I'm down for any of those, because right now we have a real weakness in how you get crossbow enchantments, how you get trident enchantments, and indeed how you get certain other rare enchantments that I would love to see them address and balance. Speaking of balance, Miss Pat Van Driver Lady says, I know you're trying to be positive about all of this, Toy Cat, but once again, who asked for nerfed villagers? Also, why aren't they focusing on the dozens of parity changes you pointed out that they could make to either improve Java or Bedrock? So first things first, I think whataboutism is it's something that we all do all the time, but it's incredibly important to say they could do both. They could nerf villagers if they think that's a good idea, while also doing the parity changes. Whoever is on the parity team is obviously missing a large number of features. Every time there's an update, they're like, yeah, we could throw one really terrible parity change in the game, rather than thinking how they could actively improve both Java and Bedrock. But, that's an aside point. I think the nerf villagers is something no one was asking for, you're right, or a very small minority of players were asking for, and so the important question is, why are Mojang doing something the player base aren't asking for, and when the player base are asked, they're saying, yeah, we don't really like this. What is the point of doing something that the player base aren't asking for? Surely Mojang should be a democracy. This is the world's biggest game, except I actually disagree. I think giving people exactly what they want isn't a good thing. This is a controversial opinion to have, but ultimately, if you think about any walk of life, you want to have a little bit of unknown going into something. If you go to a fancy restaurant and the menu says beef meal, it's technically telling you the truth in a way that, you know, succulently, hand-grazed, artisanally crafted, roast beef of Wellington descent. You know, like, there's so many ridiculous words that restaurants will use that make you feel better about your purchase, even though they mean nothing. Have you noticed how street food means every type of food in the world now? It's just cool, trendy versions of food. And in the same way, this YouTube video, I could technically title this, I'm answering several questions that I've had in my comment section that I think people would like to know the answers to, while also giving you an update on the latest Minecraft news that couldn't go anywhere else on the channel this week. And also, I am talking about vague life lessons and important things. That would be a very, very bad thumbnail and title. No one would click on it because there is a little part of people that prefers to have things they don't know they want being added into something. This is a very weird thing, but if Mojang does get these villager changes right, even though no one asked for them, they will improve people's life drastically. If you're watching this and you have a girlfriend or significant other of any variety, and they tell you like, oh yeah, I don't really need a gift for this, it's totally fine, but you get them a gift anyway, doing exactly what they specifically didn't ask for, they will almost always appreciate that, and that's basically what they're asking for. There are many points in society that work this way, and this is why I think even though people aren't asking for it, they might just enjoy it if Mojang gets it right. Are Mojang going to get me my perfect gift because they are, of course, I am, of course, their girlfriend? I don't know for sure, but what I do know is the answer to Nuked Human's question, how did you put the blocks in your hotbar without opening your inventory? I know the answer to this one. It's been going, I have this question every single year, multiple times, and I love to answer it because I'm gonna blow the minds of about 5% of you right now. If you want to grab blocks from your inventory, simply use pick block. If you're using a mouse, it is bound to the middle mouse button. If you're using a controller, just go into your settings, bind it to any button on the controller, and you will be able to grab the block you're looking at from your inventory. This works in creative too, but I think more people know about it there. In survival, when you're doing a big project, it's a game changer, and you're welcome. I hope you enjoy this advice. But what I don't think you will enjoy the advice of is what if you don't care about agendas and just want to play a game? This is one of the more confusing comments I got this week, and so I had to watch the video again to work out what it was, and I think it's because in the video I show off my rainbow beacon from 2012, and people are like, no agendas in my Minecraft, damn it. And you know, you can have no agendas in any Minecraft that you like. Ultimately, if you're upset with what Mojang are doing, or you're upset with something that exists in the game, you are free to, I think this is the most important lesson you can have for almost anything in life, you are free to ignore that source of authority or figure. In the case of Minecraft, you can pretend there are no Minecraft updates coming. If you don't like what they're doing with the villager trades, and you don't stay up to date with it and make yourself angry, you can ignore it if you really want to. That is a valid option. And in the same way, if you really don't like what you think Mojang are doing with their updates getting smaller and smaller, just play Minecraft as it exists right now. Almost anything in life where you get upset about this big thing that, these people are doing it wrong, honestly, just imagine they don't exist. Are you upset that like, oh yeah, the government needs to help me out more here? I think almost every one of these systems you can ignore and you'll live your life better. Is the ideal world one where you have to ignore these super important things? Probably not, but I think you'll get a lot better results from basically anything if instead of waiting for someone else to do this thing where they might disappoint you, you try to be as self-reliant as possible. If you don't want the agendas, if you don't want people who let you down, if you don't want these sorts of things, try to live your life in such a way that these things affect you as little as possible, and that is my only real piece of advice here. My other piece of advice is, Mojang, if you're gonna say you're doing a Q&A where you respond to people's questions, you can't just respond to a question about pineapple on pizza, a dumb question about how pitcher pods taste, and I just feel like they missed the great opportunity to actually answer all of the really good whatever. I feel as though if you try to get yourself real upset, really hyped up about what Mojang are going to do, you're going to end up, I feel like in the same way, if you get hyped up about anything anyone says they're going to do for you, people have a big interest in lying to you about how great they're going to be to you, and if you're as self-reliant as possible, they can't break you. And that is what you should hope your girlfriend doesn't learn, and so you should get her a really good gift, because one day she will otherwise. Anyway, the important thing to say here is that I hope you've enjoyed Q&A Saturday, because this is the hottest day of the year in the UK, and I am burning. I don't know how I've managed to get 14 straight minutes today, but I hope you enjoyed it, because if so, then I would appreciate a like or whatever you do to videos that you like. Subscribe if you're new around here, and yeah, tomorrow's Seed Sunday is the wildest one, I think maybe ever, that we've released for Bedrock Edition. I asked Crack Magnet with the really specific prompt for something that he's never looked for before, and it blew both of our minds what he found. So if you're excited for the weirdest type of Minecraft seed, tomorrow you'll be seeing some. In fact, it's so inspiring I want to start a new world, but that's a whole separate point. Actually, no, it's not. I'm here, it's my video. I was thinking of starting a new super flat world or a new hardcore world based on whether an update comes out next Tuesday. So new stream series starting soon. Hope you're looking forward to it, because I'll see you soon tomorrow. I'm gonna go melt now. Bye.